economists believe that President Ramaphosa's economic recovery package is too focused on the public sector. They also believe that though any growth is good, Ramaphosa and the economic cluster need to detail exactly how it's going to happen. Millions of people across the country losing their jobs during the country's hard lockdown when minimal economic activity took place. I want to bring in now Martin Kingston from Business for South Africa. Martin, good afternoon to you and welcome. You would have seen some of the criticism in the Sunday press that the plan is too focused on the public sector. Is that fair?
No, I don't think it is, Jeremy. I think that there is a clear emphasis on what steps need to be taken to really galvanize economic recovery and to reconstruct the economy as a matter of urgency. The President and his cabinet, I believe, are very clearly focused on the fact that we are now facing a crisis and we need to deal with it decisively. The only way we can do that is by harnessing all resources, and the private sector and the business community, large and small, established and emerging, have an absolutely central role to play in driving economic growth and indeed recovery.
This is what you said in a statement: an effective, ethical, responsive and viable state working with social partners, including business, is vital for South Africa to recover from COVID-19. Is there enough evidence at this point of that cooperation?
We've had very successful experience, I think, with all of the social partners on compacting during COVID-19 in the context of establishing a rapid response task team at NEDLAC, but also in dealing with how we cycle through the various levels of lockdown, and now in the design, crafting and hopefully the implementation of the economic recovery plan. But the devil, of course, is not only in the detail, it's in the implementation. I think we're all concerned about capacity, about accessing the requisite both financial and human capital that's necessary to be able to underpin a real economic recovery, recognizing, as you said, that growth is an absolute enabler. And at the moment, we're dealing with high levels of both poverty, unemployment and inequality, exacerbated massively by the pandemic. So we're going to have to put our foot on the accelerator. We have no time to lose. The Minister of Finance is presenting his medium-term budget policy statement next Wednesday. We'll have to see how much flexibility and fiscal latitude he has. We think it's very little, in fact, and we're going to have to live within very constrained means, which means, of course, we're going to have to take difficult decisions as a country and prioritize ruthlessly.
Let me extend your metaphor, if I can. Absolutely agree with you that we need to put our foot on the accelerator, but it's pointless putting our foot on the accelerator if there's no fuel in the tank. Where's the money coming from?
Well, there is going to be limited resources. We estimate that there's 3.4 trillion rand that is required over the next 3 years, 2.4 trillion for the public sector, including state-owned enterprises, 1 trillion for the private sector, and conventional sources of funding, in particular just South African funding, is going to be woefully inadequate. We're going to have to go offshore. We've already tapped, as you know, the IMF for their special facility. We've got the World Bank and the African Development Bank. We're going to have to consider how we can dress ourselves up as an investment destination to be able to mobilize very significant sums of capital. The only way we're going to do that is if we profile ourselves as a competitive environment where it's much easier to do business than it has been historically. And we as business have emphasized the need, therefore, not just to talk about, but to implement fundamental structural reform that enables a much easier business environment to flourish. Not only a business environment for the private sector, but for those elements of the public sector where it's appropriate for the public sector to continue to be involved in economic activity rather than just overseeing the architecture of economic policy.
It's all very well to say that we need to sell ourselves as a competitive environment. You know well, though, Martin Kingston, that we're not, and your thinking is also bedeviled, surely, by the power constraints that we continue to experience.
It's one of the biggest single challenges. Indeed, I think until recently we all thought that it had gone away. It hasn't gone away. It's there in glorious technicolor. Eskom not only has huge operational constraints, but as you say, huge financial constraints. We think that the balance sheet is going to have to be assisted by alleviating it of significant amounts of debt. We have, as the social partners, again at NEDLAC, agreed on an Eskom social compact. Once again, we need to operationalize it. We've got an implementation plan, but we've got to put that to practice. If we don't have reliable, predictable, and I have to say affordable not only energy, but all inputs in terms of infrastructure inputs, we are never going to have the competitive economy that you talk about, which is necessary to drive the levels of growth, not only to attract investment, but to ensure that we have sustainable jobs We've lost 2.2 million jobs in the second quarter of this year alone. We don't know what's going to happen in respect of the third and fourth quarters. That's an unsustainable set of circumstances.
I just need a quick answer to this one. Do you not feel a sense of frustration that it's a week on since the speech? We've heard all the commentary, we've heard all the analysis, and yet the tyres still seem to be spinning. Where's the starting point? What is going to signal Martin Kingston an early win, and not in a matter of months, but a matter of weeks, to give some solace to South Africans?
Yeah, we think that there are some quick wins, whether it's the new window for renewables, whether it is the auction of spectrum, whether it is dealing with the visa issues, specialist skills visas, or indeed tourism visas. Those can be done in a matter of days, not even in a matter of weeks. And I have to say the world is watching, Jeremy. So we're going to have to take those decisions if we're going to be able to engender the level of confidence that we require.
Martin Kingston from Business for South Africa, thank you very much indeed.